All right, here's a couple more questions. This one's probably better for you, Dan. But in a bad acorn year and beans yellowing, what type of food do deer seek out early season? He says he's hunting marsh areas with some ag and surrounding private.
And it could be just about anything. They could be seeking out plants that are in the swamp. They could be seeking out corn. They could be seeking out all kinds of stuff. Um, you got to look around and see where the sign is. Most of the time in early season, I don't see as much of a, especially on public land, of a dedication towards crops. If I do, it's probably going to be towards corn, but corn is usually a little later. Um, maybe corn, but really, I don't really concern myself with what the food is. I start looking by the bedding first, and if if the bedding doesn't have sign around it of deer, I'm looking in the wrong area. They're eating all kinds of crap, stinging nettles. They're eating that orange Juliet or whatever that stuff's called.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of crap, and they just wander around grazing, and you don't really know. What you can find out is the bedding and find out how they're feeding out of there. And most of the time, I don't even care what they're eating as long as the sign shows me that they're bedding in a certain area. So I'm walking those transitions or looking at the areas around those transitions for activity coming out. I would probably check the edges of cornfields. Sometimes they're hit or miss at this time of the year. I think you get a little closer to October, you start seeing them hit the corn a little more religiously. But I think right now they're probably feeding more on just wild plants. So areas that are kind of wet and green, that have a lot of green stuff growing, probably into that. What do you think, Josh?
Um, I mean, I don't have near the experience hunting marshes as you do, but yeah, the especially around here, October 1st, they start hitting cornfields really well, and the beans are pretty much a thing of the past for a while until they get farther along.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I have a lot of experience in the hills and stuff. They eat in the hills. They eat all kinds of there's persimmon trees here. There's greenbrier. So we have some of those weeds that they nip on, and different types of flowers that grow up there they like.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wouldn't really have anything to add on marsh stuff. They eat in the marsh. Someone
It
was
ain't
telling
much
me
different than the hills. It's just that it's kind
yeah,
of scattered food,
right.
and you just got to have a determination of where they're bedding. You have to kind of figure that out.
Have you
I
have you
think
ever
people
seen it?
fixate on food too much, really.
Yeah, yeah, um, especially in early season, man. There's just so much for them to eat that time of year.
Hmm.
Have you ever seen them eating the bottoms of cattails and stuff in the marsh?
We got some video of 'em eating actually brown cattails. I've
Oh,
seen them
really?
go down in the cattails and eat underneath them, and really, if you go down and you look close, there's moss and stuff and mushrooms and stuff growing down there on the edges, especially when they're not in actual water. I don't think they're actually eating the cattails, but they could be. I mean, I've seen them eat some crazy crap.
Yeah.
Um, Late season, I think it's a little better to get fixated on food, but
Hmm.
early in the season, I think fixating on food is you're doing what everybody else is doing. You're not going to have a hell of a lot of success. I do think early season is kind of a relative term. Like you said,
Yeah.
going into October, you start seeing a lot more shift towards corn
Yeah.
if you're corn available. Um, but if you're talking early season, as in right now, basically, as the season's opening,
Yeah.
man, it's a crapshoot where they're feeding.
Hmm.
If you
Well,
can get into the bedding, you're way better off. Even if you find like a food source, they can be getting to that source at like 10, 11 o'clock at night because they're feeding on all that green stuff on the way.
yep. Yep. Oh, the reason I bring up corn is because I think corn is a little bit of different type of food source where it actually, it provides all kinds of security cover for them
Yeah.
too. So
It,
I've killed
it
two nice
depends if
bucks
it has
on corn
people
twigs.
hunting all over the edges of it. Some places you
Right.
go, cornfields are a hunter magnet.
Oh yeah.
Some places you go, it or not, you know.
Yeah.
But if it's a hunter magnet and people walk the perimeter of the corn constantly looking for deer sign, you're not going to see deer walking to it in daylight. But you're right, the cover that they have there, if they're not getting pressured, they will walk into corn just like they're walking into cattails.
Hey everybody, if you like the channel, make sure you subscribe right here. And if you like the clips, I got 2 more options for you. 2 options right here. Subscribe right here. See you guys.